All right, welcome to another episode of the House Husband Diaries. As always, I am your host, Carter C. And, just want to send a real quick shout out to everyone. Thanks for following, subscribing, watching the videos. We're 26 days, 27 days into the month. Been dropping the video every day. Did a little bonus drop on Christmas Day with 2 videos. And just never expected this much support for the channel. And I know Forest Finn stuff is really popular. Everybody's looking. I'm enjoying that a lot. But I'm also really enjoying the other days that you get to do House Husband Diary stuff. So I'm starting a series where I'm just kind of sharing stories from my life. And I'm entitling these That Time I'm. And so, real quick, I want to shoot this one. I know the lighting's kind of bad. It's in the evening, and I promised myself I would put one out a day in all of December. Hopefully, I can carry that on into 2020. So been doing a lot of family stuff. So I hope everyone's had a wonderful Christmas. But I want to just share a quick story or two about that time that I was a summer camp counselor with University of Georgia's head football coach, Kirby Smart. So it was the summer of 1998. I had just graduated from high school, and a guy that went to the same boarding school that I went to, I think he was a fraternity brother of Kirby Smart's at UGA, and so brought him up to be a camp counselor at this sports camp that we had at the school. And you get to play like 6 team sports and a whole bunch of individual sports. It was phenomenal. It was the greatest camp in the world, in my humble opinion. And it no longer exists in the same format as it did in the 70s, 80s, 90s. So that is super sad to me. However, it was fantastic. It was phenomenal. And I was coaching a team that was basically, we had the best record in camp. So overall, we were the best team in camp. Whether or not I was the best coach or not is up for debate. Some may think so, some may not. However, I had one of the best, so the camp was for 10 to 13-year-olds, and I had one of the best 13-year-old athletes in the entire camp, which is like a cheat code, basically. I mean, you can't really, one kid can't change the whole camp, all the teams. He's not going to be the best at every sport. But Kirby was the head coach of another team, and he also had one of the best 13-year-old athletes. And so we were really good at all sports. I don't know which ones we were number one, like the best one at, but we were at the top of the rankings in football. And I think Kirby's team was number one in football. I don't think we had. I think we might have had similar records. This is 20 years ago. So, but I knew that he was like an All SEC defensive back at UGA, and that was impressive. And I knew we were coming up. It was a big football game for our kids. They were pumped about playing Kirby's team, and so I'm going up against this guy. He's like a stud athlete, but he's an amazing defensive-minded guy. He understands football. And I didn't play football in high school. I was a basketball player. But I heard from other counselors that when you coached against him, when your team played Kirby's team in this flag football, game over the summer, like you just get destroyed. Like it was just not even, like it wasn't even fair. But I'm like super competitive, and I was like, that wasn't cool to me that he just had all this, extra experience. So I didn't want to be scouted. I didn't know how all that worked. So I said, okay, we're going to have practices before we play Kirby's team, but we're not going to have practices on the practice fields. We're going to go inside to the racquetball courts where nobody can see us. And we're going to, with enclosed doors, we're going to have closed door practices. And we're going to put in new plays that we've never run. And we're totally going to change it up. And I'm going to try to fool this guy. So we do that. It's like top secret. We go out, we play this team, we play Kirby's team, and within minutes, he's like calling our plays like we would call a play, our kids would line up, and then he'd go, "Hey, they're going to run it to the left." And I look at him, and I'm like, and all my kids look at me, and they're like, "What do we do?" And I'm like, "Well, you don't look at me. Like, what? Why would you look at me? You know, that's an obvious tell that he just called the exact play. Like, you just got to play it cool, like we're not." So what he would do is he would call the play, and then he would tell his best 13-year-old athlete, I don't remember the kid's name, but he'd just say, "Hey, they're going to run it to the left, so just go ahead and run over there, like, and just wait for him." And so he would just line up his best player. It was like the fastest, biggest kid, or one of the fastest, biggest kids. I had another one, and everybody would look at me like, "Are we still running that play?" Because like this big kid that we can't block, who's like way faster than us, is already where we're trying to go. And I was like, okay. So after a handful of plays of this, I was like, like Kirby, timeout. Like not timeout for the kids, but I like went over to him. I was like, this is like, how are you doing this? This isn't even like cool, because these kids they're kids, and like they're just trying to play, and having you just go ahead and call everything, it makes it like not fun for the rest of us, mere mortals. So he was like, well, I know that you're going to run because you always run to the strong side. Your tight end, comes over no matter what happens. You always run it where your tight end is. So I was like, okay, timeout. Like I'm totally calling a timeout. So I call a timeout, go huddle up with my kids, and I'm like, my tight end. I'm like, why are you always lining up on the side that we run? Because and he goes, well, my coach at home, that's what he says. We always need an extra blocker if we're going to run. And I was like, is that what we practiced in the racquetball court? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, who's your coach now? And he's like, you. And I'm like, you're damn right, it's me. So I don't know why you're giving me this crap that your coach at home tells you we're always gonna run behind an extra blocker. I'm like, do you know who is your coach at home and all SEC defensive back? No, absolutely not. Like, this guy's way better than your dinky coach, wherever you're from, in, Podunk Rec League. I was like, so you can't do that. So you were always going to line up on this side of the ball, whatever it is, left or right side. I don't remember what I said, but I was like, you'll never move. Whether it's a pass play or run play, like you're not gonna be a tell anymore for the rest of the game. So then a couple plays later, so we start running some like weak side runs, and we're mixing it up. Well, he's like, Kirby's just like, okay, they're not doing that anymore, so you can just go over here. They're probably gonna run this. It was the most unbelievable job of dissecting like an offense I've ever seen in my life. And then, and I didn't know, like Kirby was, like just he was a stud athlete, super nice guy, but like just, didn't know him from Adam. Like I'm an ACC guy, so whatever. But so we had a great time with that. And then fast forward, I don't know how many years, and Nick Saban's winning, all these national championships, and lo and behold, their defensive coordinator is Kirby Smart, and he wins the assistant as a Broyles Award or something for like the number one, the top assistant football coach in Division I, and then he gets the head job. And I always knew he wanted the head job at Georgia, but Mark Richt was there. I think Mark Richt was the guy's name, and he was entrenched, even though he wasn't winning national championships. And so when they got rid of Richt, I was like, dude, Kirby's totally gonna move over to UGA, because that's his bread and butter. He's a Bulldog through and through. So I was so happy that he got the gig at UGA, and just hope for continued success for him. But it was absolutely phenomenal to be able to say, years later, that I coached against an actual legitimate, Division I, top 5, top 10, national championship playing coach, and defensive coordinator for Alabama, winning national championships. You were like 100% that guy is legit. Like, he just crushes it, and he is so competitive, but in a positive way. Like, he was super good with the kids, super good with us. I mean, even though he beat the crap out of us and always dissected and crushed us, he was still just like, it was all in the name of the game, and it was so much fun. And then the last story that I'll tell about Kirby is this guy's his buddy of his. He's a guy by the name of Beno Ansley, and he's in real estate in Atlanta. and we were teaching archery together, and just randomly. And it's not like we have any archery skill or not, but anyway, but Noah was like, hey, let's play a trick on these guys, and so Kirby and I are sitting there, and Beno's like, hey, so these telling these kids, he's like, so these two guys are in the Olympics for they're on the U.S. Olympic team, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this guy, but Beno can sell snow to an Eskimo, and these kids are like, no way. And Beno's like, no, totally. Like, look at this. This guy does this event. This guy does that event. And these kids are like, oh, come on, you're totally pulling our leg. And Beno's like, no, absolutely not. I mean, look at this guy. Like, hey, we could do some basic, like some better athletic feats, 20 years ago. But he was like, oh, this guy's a long jumper. This guy's like in the whatever yard dash. I mean, I don't even know. But it was so amazing because Kirby actually is like an unbelievable athlete, and I just kind of was in good shape at 18 years old and just was messing around. But I'll just never forget those stories because when you're like 18, 21, 22, you just that's a great time in your life, and you never know who you're going to meet and what experiences you're going to share. And you'll never know if they remember those experiences or not when they go off into life. But when you sit back and you're like, hey, I've had some pretty neat times, pretty neat stories, and that's kind of what the House Husband Diaries is about. Is a time to not only reflect and share on past experiences and past adventures, but I'll be having new ones and sharing everyday life. So yeah, just a couple stories about Kirby Smart, and I'm always pulling for you guys, Bulldogs, because it's just it's neat to see somebody that you were a camp counselor with be ultra successful, especially in something as competitive as Division I college football. So you know what? That time I was a summer camp counselor with the head football coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, Kirby Smart. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you had a great Christmas, and we'll see you tomorrow.